Good morning. I can't hear you, Kenneth. Weird. I still can't hear you. Why is that? Try again now, Kenneth.
Good morning, Miss Ellis.
Good morning and happy Thursday.
Thanks.
Here we are. How are you guys?
I'm doing good.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Did you think any more about coming back to school? Like, what do you think about that? I think it's going to be strange for a while. You know, just like when the lockdown started, you know, I said to Dr. Romanek, we were standing in class and he and I had just been at lunch and we had watched the news at lunch. And I go, you know what? It was right about almost spring break. And I said, watch them. I bet you, Dr. Romanek, we're going to get an extra week off for spring break. This is the last year. Yeah, we did. We got an extra year off. Yeah, Luz, so weird, isn't it? A year. Guess what, Dr. Romanek, and my favorite part of teaching is? Just guess. Huh? What do you think our favorite part of teaching is? Why do we come to work every day? Why am I here and not at the hospital where I could be working?
Teaching in person.
Yeah, exactly, Davis. Teaching in person. And one of the things I really love about teaching is that I get to know my students for a whole year, as opposed to the average hospital stay is less than 24 hours now. So, you know, that is really just the thing that I love the most is, like, I just got an email from a student yesterday who is a third-year nursing student teaching me. Davis says, yeah. Hey, and Dr. Romanek is here. Hi, Dr. Romanek. He's probably trying to get his computer to work.
Good morning.
Hi, Dr. Romanek. I just asked the students, what do you think our favorite part of teaching is? You and I.
Well, I love being with the students. And
yeah, that's what I said. So I said, so we were talking yesterday about coming back, you know, and that people had kind of mixed feelings, like, you know, it'll just be kind of weird because it'll be 2 days a week. And I think this whole class can come back together in one cohort because they're so small. So we should all be able to be together, which will be really nice. I
sure
think.
would. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
It'll be really, really nice.
And
so yeah, teaching and being with students, because if we thought that teaching was just giving information, neither Dr. Romanek or I would be doing it.
Right.
Do you want to talk about that, Dr. Rom?
Well, you know, I'll just be honest. When I'm with the students, there's an energy.
Yeah.
There's an energy that they give to me that I think helps me to be a better teacher.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy getting to know the students, and their personalities are great, their learning styles, how people learn, and that all that helps to make me a better person and enjoy my life. I'm so fortunate. I know you feel the same way. We have such a great job.
Mhm.
It's such a great job to wake up in the morning and be excited about going to work. You know, not a lot of people don't have that.
All right, I agree. So we've been sad. That's what we want you to know is we've been doing it and we figured out how to do it. But we've been a little sad without you all.
Yeah.
So let me let my waiting room in. Hold on. Eugene and Uriel. Wow, we got almost everybody here today. Cool. Okay. So can you see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Cool. Here's what we're doing today. So we will have, by my count, 5 career days this year. And today is one of them. And there is an assignment attached. It's at the bottom of this sheet. And the assignment is to begin the process. Of course, you are beginning the process of thinking very practically about yourself and about what you want to do for a living. So we're not selling any of these careers. On occasion, when I've known a student for a couple of years, I might suggest to a student, hey, you know, have you thought about, you know, being a pharmacist, just because, or whatever, but that I think they might enjoy. But the purpose of today is to just get a picture of one of the careers that we really saw in our videos last unit when the guy broke his ankle and then got the cast off. What is the rehabilitation of that? There are professionals whose titles are all inside what's called physical medicine, or the rehabilitation of an injury. So I worked at a trauma hospital. So when somebody gets run over by a train, the majority of their care is not saving their life. So somebody has their sound on. So if you could turn that on. So the majority, if you get in a big traumatic accident, you fall off a building, you get torn up skiing, you really hurt yourself in a car accident, the hospital stay is usually less than 2 weeks. That would be the outside for most injuries. And then you're going to transfer to a facility where you will receive physical medicine care, or the experts are the physical therapists on how to restore your function. This is a huge science. There are specialties inside it. So there are pediatric physical therapists, there are neurologic physical therapists, there are geriatric, meaning working with the elderly. So that's what today's subject is. We will only touch on it. So what are we going to do? We're going to quick walk. Go ahead, Dr. Ram.
Well, I was just going to say, this is just FYI for interest. This isn't our emphasis today is on the physical therapist, and let me tell you, it's just a great profession and a great opportunity for those who are interested in it. But I did want to mention quickly the medical doctor, who is the specialist in physical medicine. Not many doctors go into it. Not many people go into it anymore. But you might hear the term physiatrist. Mm-hmm. And so the physiatrist is the doctor that works with the physical therapist. And so I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and there were several physiatrists in the hospital where I worked, and they would come and see the patient on the day of the injury. So we would get a patient in intensive care, and the physiatrist, the doctor that was going to supervise their recovery, would come and visit the day of their injury. Very interesting. Just to get, he and she, they were actually married couple that were both physiatrists. They would come, and one of them would come because they wanted to see the early part of the injury. And I just think they were such a cool couple in that way. So anyway, we're going to watch two videos. One is just a little blip on what it's like to be a student as a physical therapy student. Why? Because that would be, you know, coming up in your next steps, and it's a mystery. to most students, they're like, they have in their idea, you know, what does this look like? What are we doing? And it's probably not accurate. Mine wasn't accurate about nursing school when I went. Okay, so one about the day in the life of the PT. And by the way, we're not going to watch this off of my screen, but you can come back and watch these because the links are attached here for you. And then the second one, also very short, a day in the life of a licensed physical therapist. So somebody that's done with school. And of course, questions in the chat are, or out loud, are our best way of knowing that you are in class. So yesterday, we had a very long teachers meeting, and one of the discussion points was, how do we know if a student knows anything so that we can pass them or not? And I'm sure Dr. Romanik's group had lots of ways, but one of our teachers in my small group said, I have a student that I know is there physically every day, but I don't know if he's there because he doesn't turn work in. So I can't pass him, and I want to. So guys, just know that being interactive during class is vital for us to have some way of evaluating whether or not you're here. And what I want to say is, looking at my participation chart, most of you are doing an awesome job. Okay, then number 3, we're going to have a whiteboard discussion, Mrs. Ellis's favorite, about college life and kind of some more particulars, because what I find, and I have found having taught in health careers a long time, and Dr. Rom will agree with this, is that students think they know kind of what the pathway is to become a nurse, a doc, whatever, a labor and delivery person, they think they know. But then when we ask them, it's clear to us that the student is confused about, well, how does the schooling work? So we're going to talk a little bit about the schooling. And then of course, today is the beginning of a new unit legally. So really we'll start tomorrow. But I want you to be thinking that every time Mrs. Ellis or Dr. Romanik are teaching, I want you to be thinking about vocabulary, because vocabulary is our life. In medicine, it's our life. In science, it's our life. And we want you to get used to making your own lists. So then down under student applied, there's a reflection. Take you 15 minutes to write this. That's due on Monday. That's in Kami. And guys, those of you that are trying to write longhand in Kami, if you go to the black bar on the left-hand side of Kami, there are several options for you to use word processing. So I just noticed some of you were struggling with on homework. I didn't take any points off, but I just want you to know. Okay, so also some of you have texted me or emailed me and said, Miss Ellis, am I supposed to write in my book? Can I work ahead on chapter 1? Please don't write in your books. I'm going to pick assignments out of those chapters and put them online so that you can type online, and then they can be all in one place for me to grade. Okay, are there questions about that? We see a bunch of stuff in the chat. Oh, everyone's just saying good morning. I love you guys so much. Okay, here we go. Let's stop that. So let me just get my first video up here. Oops, I'm gonna see if I get sound with
Guys, Berg's here again to make you fall in love with all things physical therapy. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the day-to-day of physical therapy school. So here's the kicker here. I won't actually go to class until September. I just finished my first year. I'm about to go on my first full-time internship in 2 days. So there is no class. I'm just going to try my best to reenact my whole week and show you, how I do things. So before I start, let me show you my weekly schedule. So this is my ride, guys. School is 20 minutes away from me, so I either take the bus or I just bike to school. Whoa, what just happened there? You know, sometimes, you wake up too late or you're just too lazy to bike the whole way. So what you do is you take the bus, you put the bike on the bus, and then you bike the rest of the way, you know. So this is it, guys. This is literally the room where we practice all of our psychomotor skills. Let me give you a 360 of the room. Yeah, any special test, examination, and intervention skills that you know of, we learn all of them here and practice them all in this room. And also, this room is also a lecture room. Sometimes we spend like 3 or 4 hours in this room, like doing lectures, going over biomechanics, going over articles and such. It can get pretty boring going over lectures for like 3 to 4 hours. So when that happens, we usually go outside and get some coffee. Tuesday morning and Friday morning, we're not here. We are either in clinicals or we have seminars. So almost everything we do here, we do it in a team-based setting. When we go over cases in our groups. We question each other a lot. We quiz each other a lot. Sometimes it's not a good way to spend our lecture time, but the majority of time, we have a lot of fun. So if you look closely at the schedule, we have like a huge gap from 11 to 2 p.m. What do we do with a 3-hour lunch break? Squeezing our workout. So one thing about this gym is that it's very close to our school, so we can literally walk there and get there in like 5 minutes. Funny thing is, during that 3-hour lunch break, like a lot of us come here and relieve some stress. So there will be like 30 people within that small gym just working out. And they have showers. That's a bonus. Remember earlier when I was talking about seminars? Well, this is where seminar happens for me, right here in this room. Every Friday I come here from 8 to 10 and join my seminar group. Each seminar group has like 8 to 9 students. And we just literally go over cases. This is an example of a case. So after we read the case, we come up with examination technique, intervention that we're gonna do for that person, and then we discuss the findings. Our seminar leader, challenge us on why we pick certain intervention, why we pick certain examination technique. It's to reinforce what we learned throughout the week, so we can make better clinical judgment. So most Fridays after my seminar, I either go volunteer at a hospital or work on a blog or work on a YouTube video for you guys like I'm doing right now, or I just go play soccer. Yeah, I need this, man. At least once every month. Otherwise I start going crazy. So typically after class ends, around like 4:45, 5 o'clock, I usually come to the library and try to suck up everything that I just learned. This is literally where, if I remember anything from PT school, this is literally where it happens. Right here, on this chair. This is where I suck up all the materials. This is where I remember everything, or relearn everything that I just learned. Give you a little tour of what the place looks like. this is where a future physical therapist is made, right here in this room. I'm whispering because there are people actually studying right now. So after 3 hours of studying, I typically come home around that time, get something to eat, take a quick shower. And I usually try to catch up on a YouTube video, catch up on a Casey Neistat video. I love this guy video. This guy's great. And after that, I just pass out and I repeat the same thing over and over until the week is over. Next month, I'm going to show you guys the footage of how my internship is going. Stay tuned for that. Until then, take care and do what you got to do.
So it'll be very similar to what I've done before, but we'll try
Okay,
and offer
hold
some insights
on.
along the way. You'll find that I pause the interview, and Emma, if you want to pause anytime, just say so. And then we'll talk about something
Hold
that's
the
going on. So
phone.
we'll bring up a couple of points.
This always happens to Miss Ellis. I don't like that. All right. So questions about any of that? I particularly love this guy. And here's my question for if you need a prompt to respond in the chat. What kind of person do you have to be to go to PT school? What skills do you need? So he talked about some of them, and I loved in particular his library scene, because guys, the library on a college campus is a territorial location where people have their chairs picked out. Do you agree, Dr. Ram?
Absolutely. I had my place that I went to every day.
I
That
had a
was my spot.
table, and you don't sit where you know someone else sits to study, because they don't just sit for an hour. They kind of live there. They've got food in their backpack. They are doing exactly what he said, which is at the end of the day, I have to try to store what it is I learned that day. How many times a month does he take an exam? Great question. Kenneth, I don't think very often. Do you, Dr. Ram, or not? Little exams maybe every day.
Yeah, I would say that I think you're exactly right. They're probably taking something nearly every day. And
Yeah.
then big exams every 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on the module or unit, however they do it at that school, because each school is a little unique in that. And, but yeah, nearly every day. I'll just tell you, I had exams every day.
I tell students that, that sounds super intimidating, and it was to me, because we had a little exam every day in nursing school. But here's the thing, is after a while, you don't stress about it anymore. It's just part of your life, and you're like, okay, yeah, we supposed to learn that yesterday. Now I need to figure it out. I have it in my head, yes. But it isn't like, oh my gosh, we have a test every day. I just don't think you can live. Some people, if you live that way, you will burn out. But one of the words that he used, there's 2 words that I put on your vocabulary list, and I'll show them to you in a minute, is a lot of times students are like, and I've had students say this to me, Miss Ellis, why does it take so long in the United States or around the world to become a PT, a physician, a nurse? Why does it take so long? And the reason is there's kind of a big answer, but the reason is the body of knowledge of what we know about humans is large. And you can't make decisions about what to do for them or with them without the science knowledge behind you. And so Dr. Romanek will often tell students, and I agree with him, the study of anatomy and physiology is the foundation. It's like the, cement layer of your practice as a professional. If you don't remember it or you didn't learn it, well enough to bring it into your practice, you're not going to be good at it. So knowing this, Doctor, I'm going to let you talk about that for a second, just because I know it's a passion of yours.
Well, anatomy and physiology is so important. And if you know your anatomy and physiology, and I mean really know it, it's in you, it's part of you. If you really know it, as you're learning how to take care of patients, or we're going to watch a physical therapist here in just a minute, or the physical therapist is now taking care of patients, you can go back. The patient comes in, you've done your exam. Now, what's wrong with the patient? Anatomy and physiology will tell you what has happened to the patient and will guide you in what you are going to do for the patient. It really is, as Mrs. Ellis said, it's the foundation, but unlike a foundation, it's every part of what you do with the patient. And so it is everything. When you study what we call pathology, when you study your biochemistry, all of that is anatomy, physiology, or you go back to your anatomy, physiology, so that everything makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times Mrs. Ellis and I will be talking, and she'll tell me about a case that she had when she was seeing patients. And you know what? It might be a case that I never saw, but when she talks to me, because of my understanding of anatomy, physiology, I can follow along with what was wrong with the patient and why they did what they did to take care of the patient.
Right. And it's, so the other thing that I want to say, and I say this to students often, are all doctors, all PTs, and all nurses the same? And sometimes students will say, oh yeah, they are. They all took the test, they're all licensed. And what I want you to know, that we will talk about this during the program, that you should think about it this way. Are all your teachers the same? They took all the same tests. So people who have a good practice, who are passionate about, what they do for a living, they'll show up. So there are actually two careers in PT that we're going to talk a little bit about, mostly centering on physical therapy, but there's a PTA, physical therapy assistant. One second, I don't know why I'm getting distracted. There we go. So physical therapy assistants are a 2-year program, and Portland has their own program. So you can become a physical therapy assistant in 2 college years at Mount Hood Community College or Lane Community College in Eugene. So those are 2 places in Oregon where you can do that. And they are doing just that. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute after this short video on the life of a PT.
To be able to communicate,
motivate.
Every experience is different.
There's no cookie cutter approach.
And it's rewarding.
I strengthen.
Enable.
I treat.
We heal.
You're helping those who can't do.
Caring.
Educating.
Encouraging.
Just helping people.
Funulating.
You need to go in with a completely open mind because something very cool might come out.
I'm a physical therapist here at the National Rehab Hospital in Washington, D.C. This is the cardiac rehab, so we're working with patients with heart conditions. You get to use your thinking skills, analytical skills, problem solving. I made her BP 135/95. And you get to do so much. It's really awesome.
Right now we're in Independence Square. It gives the patients an opportunity to practice the things that they've been working on in a real world setting. So this is a kitchen that we're in right now, and it's set up just like any other kitchen. The sink works, it's got knives, it's got plates, it's got food, and you get to practice. The best thing about being a physical therapist is getting to see your patients improve. When you get to see them go home on that last day and they're walking out, when they came in a wheelchair or they came on a stretcher, and you get to see them leave, walking.
You want to walk down, touch the wall, come back to the exact same spot. I'm a board certified neurospecialist in physical therapy. I see everything from spinal cord to people who are dizzy, stroke. I mean, you know, people who come back from Iraq. I mean, you name it, we see it. We're looking to see what we can do to maximize his overall function. It's never boring. It's always different, and you can actually try to pull in your clinical reasoning skills, the best evidence that's out there, what the patient values, put it all together and see whether or not you can really make a difference.
I see mainly geriatric patients in outpatient therapy, so I treat a lot of the cancer, rehab, and the lymphedema population. I think the best thing about being a physical therapist is that you are a motivator and a coach. It's not meant to be deep because the lymphatic system is directly underneath the skin.
I am a student physical therapist. Here, within a neuro setting, certainly you put your hands on, so you teach the patients what to do. But there comes a time where, I mean, it is just mental. So you put your hands on the patient, it's now time for them to do as much as they can.
I'm Tim Dockin, physical therapist with Fairfax County Public Schools. Take it off. Will has cerebral palsy. Good. Want to sit down? Yeah. More than just being a physical therapist, I think, we're an advocate. And so we see so many aspects of these kids' lives and that we can help them out.
You're touching the side. Try not to touch the blue.
Our whole goal here in the middle school is to prepare them for high school. We make most everything into a game.
All right, there you go. Oh, nice one.
So the more fun we can make something, the more willing they are to do it.
Okay. Got it. Good job.
Andy had meningitis when he was a kid and had some brain damage because of that.
3, push up. Good. Stand up there. No, don't you sit down. Don't you sit down.
When I had decided to change careers and go back to school, I went and worked in an outpatient clinic, and I saw how they were getting people better.
Pull me down, reach with your hand.
The people I worked with were great, and the difference you made in these people's lives were great. This is Andrew, and he's 12 years old. He has cerebral palsy, so he has trouble controlling his movements.
And both together. Okay, Andrew, stop. Okay. Stop!
We want to get them to do as much as they can themselves.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, we're doing donuts. That's not supposed to happen until you're 16. Ha ha!
It's just fun because you've made a difference.
Flexibility looks excellent. I'm Denise Constanti. I'm a physical therapist with the Jackson Clinics. You definitely need to have your hands on the patient and feel how their muscles are working and seeing if they're flexible. You have to have all 3 things coming together: flexibility, strength, coordination. I've actually come from this from the inside out. I was an amputee at a very young age. I had a prosthetic all my life. You learn to overcome, and I wanted to teach others how to do that for themselves too.
And what we call the ligaments, the things that keep the leg together. I'm a physical therapist assistant. All right, so now we're working your knees. If you want to be a physical therapist, you want to have a passion for the human body, because that's what you do. The human body is your business. Stabilize.
I used to have a problem with walking on the outside of my toes.
So what we wanted to do is teach Nikki to land more with her feet straight And notice that when her foot is like this, she has got a normal arch. With every physical therapist who works with any athlete, you want to see your person win. And I want to see Nikki win, and I want to see her go out there, win medals. Bam.
My name is Virginia Howe. I'm a physical therapist. We're in the MATSE. It stands for the Military Advanced Training Center.
I just want to get up and walk or just run, and I can't. I've learned how to do everything again, you know. My legs were taken away from me, you know. I need to learn how to live all over again.
When you are missing your knees, like Brian is, and you get mechanical knees or computerized knees, you have to relearn how to walk in a different way than you did before.
I'm the research physical therapist at Walter Reed, and I do a little bit of clinical work through my day, but as a research physical therapist, I'm also doing research through military grants. Andrew's actually just learning on the power knee.
Well, I can see the potential it has, but right now it's just trying to get used to when it's going to move and how it's going to move. It's just real difficult.
So all of my day is spent doing amputee research and treating amputees. And then some of our research is early rehab, some of it's late rehab, some of it's to do once you go home. We try to hit all aspects of care. That red line that's coming up when he's walking over this gray area, for the joints that you do have left, your hips and you're on this side, your knee and your hip, you want to kind of minimize those forces, or at least make them as normal as the knee would expect. These guys are great to work with. They're unbelievable. It's orthopedics to the extreme because you're doing sports med, orthopedic rehab, but with a patient population that wants to do that and they don't have legs and they don't have arms, and you have to figure out how they're going to do it, how they're going to run and jump and ski.
I would like to be able to run my 2 miles in 13 and a half minutes.
This will be him in about 9 months to a year.
It's fun, it's creative, and they make it an extreme challenge every day.
You can be me.
You can be me.
You can be me.
And you can be me.
Okay. So a couple things from the video. Dr. Romanek is a sports medicine doc, right?
Correct.
So a couple things that stood out to me, and you're welcome to put things in the chat or questions that you have. A couple things that stood out to me are how much teamwork there is in physical therapy careers. Like you have a physician there, you have nurses that have helped these patients, you have lab techs that have helped these patients, you have a radiologist and people who take x-ray and imaging, you have someone's writing a plan for that patient to get better. So Dr. Ram, can you talk just a little bit about how you might write a plan? What information do you use to write a plan for a patient to get well?
So part of the study for the doctor and the physical therapist is, first of all, we need to understand what their injury is. And a very important part of that is understanding what we call the mechanism of injury. What forces, what happened to cause the injury? So now once we understand what happened to cause the injury, what tissues were damaged, what structures were damaged. Then we begin to come up with what's called a prognosis. And a prognosis is, what do we believe will be the course from this time when we're starting care to the time that the patient heals? And something that's important in this video is, Mrs. Ellis is a nurse, I'm a doctor. We're going to help the patient to heal from the injury, but now after the injury, the patient may still need help. And who gives that help? The physical therapist. The physical therapist is going to help them learn how or restore the function of that part that was injured, to try and return them to as close as we can to what we call a pre-injury status. And so what you were seeing there was, you saw some amputees. Well, the doctor amputated that limb. The nurse helped them to recover, to heal, and then the doctor referred the patient to the physical therapist so the physical therapist could help them to restore function. Well, part of that was they needed an artificial limb, but then the physical therapist is helping them to learn how to use that so that they can return to a more normal life. So all of that is all of that is included in that schedule of care and plan for care for the patient.
Right. So behind all of that, and here's what I want to say, and Dr. Romanek and I will say this as long as you're our students, is that behind a really good evaluation of what's wrong with someone, doesn't matter if a nurse is doing it or a physician or a PT or an occupational therapist or a speech pathologist or a baby doctor, it doesn't matter. Behind a really good professional is their science.
Yes.
So Kenneth, you're asking a question and I'm not really sure at what you're trying to get at. So let me ask you, are you asking how many times the patient would get x-ray, or are you asking how the doctor learns to, or how the physical therapist learns to look at x-rays?
I think on how many times do the patients get some x-ray therapies?
It's different depending on what the physician or PT would want. So they will get, of course, x-rays at a regular interval as they recover to see how the injury is looking. They may also get an MRI or a CT, or I don't know what else, Dr. Ram. That's it, probably.
Those would be the most typical.
Those are the biggies. So, and then in terms of, imagine yourself sitting in class. So just like our student did, imagine yourself sitting in class and the instructor is simply showing you a dozen x-rays. Like Dr. Romanek shows x-rays in his class, I think. So, and I do sometimes too, but that's the way that you learn these things, is by repetition. And you get really good at things that you repeat. Just like if I play video games 14 hours a day, I'll get really good at them. Mm-hmm. If I go to the lab and work on understanding which bone is where and how it attaches here and what muscles are involved, I'll get really, really good at that. So it's a little bit what Dr. Ram and I have often said to students: working in the sciences requires one thing: making a decision to become a student. And you are not a student because you attend, just to be honest. You are a student because your mind is here, and because in your mind you have said, I want something from my education. And in the case of PT, it's to work and helping these very complicated injuries recover. Yeah, they're really awesome jobs. So let me ask this question in the chat. So this is another opportunity for clinical questioning and clinical thinking. Either name a personality trait that would be useful as a PT. So something about your personality or anyone's personality that you think is useful. Second is, do you have to be uber smart to be a PT? You have to be brilliant to be a PT? This is just your opportunity to demonstrate that your brain is here. That's fine. We're going to move on with or without that. But what personality traits will be useful to a physical therapist? And do you have to be uber smart to be a PT? Ooh, Parsa. Love it. Yes. So you have to be a team player because you're going to work with a ton of other professionals who are going to have questions. That's actually very fun. Being friendly. Oh, Emily. Yeah. Do you think when a person has lost their legs in the military that your personality that you bring up to the bedside doesn't make a world of difference? Yeah. I don't think, Uriel, I agree with you. I think you have to have a certain level of smarts, but there's something that you have to have huge that isn't smarts. So if you know what that is, you can put it in the chat. What do you need that isn't smarts in large amounts? What do you need? Yotson thinks you need to be sociable, very cooperative, agreed. So I'm just dedication, absolutely, Parsa. You need to be what health careers teachers would call durable. Like, so I'll give you a great example. I got a D- on my first college midterm. I got a D- on my first college test. And of course, yep, Kenneth, I did it. You want to know why? I didn't study. So I went skiing the day before, and I had a really interesting boyfriend. And so when I got my score, I called my mom in tears. And my mother was a very durable woman. And here's what she said. Well, I think you ought to stop crying and think about how long you studied. It wasn't really what I was looking for in terms of a response. So yeah, my dedication was just growing. And I honestly think I learned a lot from that day. I know, Kenneth, and I did too later. I never got another D. And I was, yeah, you have to be motivated yourself, Uriel. And then you can teach other people to be motivated, because think about the motivation needed to study, and then think about the motivation needed to look down at your feet and they're missing. Think about what the patient needs in terms of motivation to get better. So these are all just, studying is only part of our, part of who we are. We are just people that have certain gifts that need to be used. And generally they're not used by doing nothing. So let me just quickly then outline the years of study. And then I'm really going to try to end a few minutes early so you can at least look at your assignment. So let me connect us up here from my whiteboard.
I have a question. Should we take notes of that?
So remember, Kenneth, what I said was, I think it's useful, but it's totally up to you.
All right.
Okay, it's totally up to you. And so just a couple things to start with. Let's just do one of these vocabs, assessment. So one of Mrs. Ellis's pet peeves is that students go all the way through health careers and they don't know what assessment means to a health professional. So I'm going to give you a real clear example. It means to evaluate. It means to evaluate. And so you evaluate with the science that you know. And so let me just give you an example. I have a shoulder right here that hurts me off and on. And I haven't gone to the doctor because it doesn't hurt that much. and I put ice on it, and I do exercises, but I can feel like it's tight, like right in here. And it kind of hurts down the front right here. I don't know enough about shoulders myself to make my own evaluation. I need to go either to a physical therapist, and I know a really good one. I just have to pay her. Or I have to go to someone like Dr. Romanek and take advantage of their ability to do assessment with their science. So if a physical therapist studies in school enough to pass the tests, but doesn't remember anything, they can't help me. So a physical therapist that went to school, passed the tests, had lots of endurance, and did it, looks at my shoulder and goes, "Let me watch you lift weights, Andy. Oh, I see what your problem is. You're hurting yourself when you lift weights." That is an example of good evaluation. And then the assessment is, what's wrong and what do we do now? You have to have a medical license to do what I just said. You don't get to do that just because you're smart or because you want to. You have to do it because you, as Parsa said, you're a durable person. You are dedicated and you go, you know what? My goal is here and that is where I'm going. Okay, so assessment means evaluation. Dr. Ram, do you want to add on?
No, that was very good. As you were talking, I was thinking, what would be included? What would I do to come up with my or to perform my assessment? And I would do a range of motion. I would test the muscles. I would check to make sure that neurologically those muscles are being supplied by the nervous system correctly. That's going to help me to make my evaluation.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean much to the students. I'm sorry. I was just thinking what the things I would have to do to
Yeah. So, guys, we recognize as teachers, all of us do, that you are just starting and that's where you need to be. We're just trying to give you enough information that you can get what you want. So that you know the way, kind of the pathway, but that you have sort of in your toolkit as a human things besides studying. So you need to learn how to study. You need to decide to be a student. And that's a decision. You decide to be a student. You need to decide that you can't be a baby. So you can't be like Miss Ellis, who didn't study and then called her mother and wanted her mother to make it better, even though I hadn't studied. Thank goodness I had my mother who was like, "You didn't study." So these are all like things to put in the toolkit. And we know that you're all growing those skills just like we have grown them as humans. Okay, so we have 5 minutes to talk about this. So what you see before you is a timeline of years going this way, starting with year 1 and ending out. You can just keep going as a student. You can be a student for your whole life if you want to be. Okay, and some people do and they love it. Okay, so let's just look at it. So these are years of school. So first 4 years would be a Bachelor of Science degree. This is if you want to be a physical therapist. That would be, you're going to graduate right here after 4 years. And next class, if you're interested, we can talk about specifically what classes you're taking as to get your bachelor's degree, because you apply to PT school right here. You apply to physical therapy at professional school, and those schools are between 2 and 4 years now in the United States. Some colleges have what are called accelerated programs. So it sounds great, like, oh, I'll graduate here, not here, so just 6 years, not 8 years to become a PT. But what I hear from students is that this is brutal right in here. And that the 4-year program of physical therapy school, you actually do have time to go to the gym, like the guy was talking about. have some balance, ride your bicycle. You're taking a lot of tests, but you've got friends. You can kind of be a human. Okay. So let's say you start here. You're 18 years of age here. You're 22 here. Let's say you get into PT school. You're out of school when you're 26. A baby. Just saying. Okay. Lots and lots of studying in here. And then really important to recognize about almost all health professions, 2 things are required. One, your academic degree. So an academic degree means I did all the schooling. As Parsa said, I just went one day after the next day after the next day, and I finished my schooling. But then there's also a test that gives you your license. Oops. Your license to practice. So in the United States, if you don't have a license to practice, it's illegal. You cannot hang out a sign that says, oh, hey, I'm a physical therapist. No, you can't. Why? We want to know that how you're evaluating that you're competent. So do you see why health careers teachers are big on teaching you how to take tests? Because you're going to be taking them. And we want you to get that skill, just like riding a bike. Like the first time you rode a bike, you were wobbly, right? I was. When you rode a bike now, you're not wobbly anymore, and it's the same with testing. So 4 years of undergraduate study, apply, and we can talk about that process. I'm just giving you an overview. 4 years of training, professional school, or 2 years, depending on where you go, an academic degree, and then your license, and then you're working. And when you apply for your job, they ask for this. They want to see your license number in whatever state you're licensed, okay? Now, say you don't want to go to school that long and you want to become a physical therapy assistant. That is an associate's degree, 2 years at Mount Hood. And what do? Very intensive course of anatomy. Okay, very intensive course of biomechanics. How does the body move? And an understanding of how they can assist this person. So if the physical therapist is doing the assessment and deciding, well, how did Miss Ellis hurt her shoulder? The PT will do that work and write the plan of recovery. And the PTA, the assistant, will actually help me do the exercises and be right there. So that might be who I would see to go back for an appointment. Is I might go in, they might measure the range of motion. Yeah, it's a little limited. So that PTA is also involves a board exam. So you get an associate's degree and you take a test. And then you're a licensed physical therapy assistant. Okay. Questions in the chat? Are there some or no? No. Do you take notes? Always your choice. Always your choice. If you need to remember it, take notes. If you don't need to remember it, don't. If you think, like, I have students that sometimes, and I think Dr. Ram has too, have had a near photographic memory. And they just don't take many notes. So that's up to you. I would say beginning out as a science student, I would err on the side of taking more notes than less. Just because you're just like, oh, I'll remember, and then sometimes you don't. Okay. So questions about this pathway. If you are interested in PT, come to office hours and we can just chat about what classes, how do I start? What do I do while I'm at Beaverton to get ready? How do I apply to school? There are physical therapy programs in Oregon, at Pacific University in Portland, and at Oregon State. You can become a PT in Oregon. Dr. Ram?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. OHSU has a PT program, and so does Pacific University right out here in Forest Grove, right near where I live.
Right.
Can I make a comment about taking notes?
Yes.
Let me say this. I think you should take notes.
Okay.
And the reason I would say you need to take notes is because when you get to college, you won't have a choice. You'll have to take notes.
Okay.
And I think it's good to start developing that skill now.
Okay.
Yeah. And Mrs. Ellis is giving you lots of good information. And I'm just going to tell you, you're not going to remember it. And even, I mean, it's so much. It's so much. You can't keep it all. You can't keep it all. And so it's good for you to learn how to take notes. And taking notes is not trying to write down every word that your teacher says. That's not taking notes. You want to learn how to jot down things that will bring to your memory what Mrs. Ellis or your teacher has said. And that's a skill. I'm just telling you, it took me a while in college before I developed good skills on taking notes. And so anything you can learn now will help you later on.
They'll also help you today on your assignment. So I'm going to let you go, but I just want to say one thing about your assignment. When you answer a question for us in health careers, you need to be specific. So one of the questions is, would you want to be a physical therapist? And you can't just write no.
Yeah.
So you would have to write, I don't think so, because I would rather work with, I'd rather be a nurse, because you're giving us information. You're not like writing us a postcard. So, or a text. So give us really specific information about you. And you know why? That helps us be better teachers. And it helps you think more deeply about, why would I make a decision to go to school a long time to have this career? Everybody made a decision to do it that is one. So awesome. So great to see you today. Tomorrow is a medical terminology start day. And then next week will be in our books. So questions in the chat, you're welcome to stay and ask me a question. Or Dr. Ron.
I have no question. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. I'll see you later, guys.
Bye.
Then if you have a question.
Have a great day.
Why can I not see myself? There I am. Bye, Ariel. Do you have a question?
Goodbye. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bye, Parsa. Bye, Cindy.
Parsa has a question for you.
Oh, yay. Go, Parsa.
Hello. I have a question about the test we took. There were a few questions that I wrote correct, but they marked it incorrect. And I wanted to know if the points were going to get corrected.
I'll look at it today.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, see you.
Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
So I didn't do my quiz last class.
Yeah.
And I entered into Zoom hours, but it said it needed a password, and I didn't know what was the password.
Yeah, the password's on there. So it's, gosh, wish I could remember it. So there should.
Is it IHC today? Is
Yeah,
that
I
it?
tried in that one, but it just wouldn't.
Okay, hold on. Let's look at that since we've got you right here. I thought I put the password on there and I never use it. So let me look. It shouldn't need a password. Hold on.
They shouldn't need, they should just
Shouldn't need
be able
one.
to click
Let
on
me
the-
look and see if I've got the wrong setting on it. No, there's no password required. That's weird. So, I'm not quite sure how to fix that. Because I don't know. I'll have to work on that one. I am not sure why that is, but you need to come take your test.
Yeah, I signed it today in the morning, but it just said it needed a password.
Let's try me on Monday. That's the next office hour. And then if you can't get me on there, then email me instantly and I'll have my email open.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you, Miss.
No worries. Do you need help, Cindy? All righty.
You can stop your
Oh,
recording.
that's right. I can stop my record. I forget to start